what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories today. Actually, we've got quite a bit to talk about. So the first story that I've got for you guys today, we've got another update from Samson Dauda. Right now, we're exactly 5.5 weeks out from the 2024 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Now, it might feel like deja vu talking about this again because it's only been a few days since Samson posted the last update at exactly 6 weeks out from the Arnold Classic. Now, for the most part, he looks about the same. I mean, it's only been a few days. He's not going to look drastically different. But that's a compliment because in the other video, he looked very impressive, very dry, very lean, especially for him. Very lean and detailed for Samson. But I think one of the things that I noticed in this video that I don't think was as crisp in the previous video is in the back shots, you can see his Christmas tree in this video. I think his back looks a little bit more dialed in, a little bit more detailed in just a matter of days. And I know this is a little bit of a shorter video, but when he turns around from the back, watch when he pulls his lats back before he hits that back double bicep. That's when you'll see a lot of detail in that mid to lower back area, that Christmas tree area, that you didn't really get to see in that prior video. So that, I think, is an important thing to point out here because, like I said, we didn't see it in the other video, but also because we're still 5.5 weeks out, Samson's got a lot of time to dial it in even further. So I think this is just another great example of, with Samson, how drastic the improvements he's able to make in such a short span of time really are. I mean, this was only 4 days from that previous video, and you can already see things in this video that you didn't see in that video. Granted, I guess in that other video you didn't really get the same view of his lower back like that, but Samson is really impressing me, man, and I'm not the only one that Samson is impressing, which brings me to my next story. So I've seen a couple of the bodybuilding Instagram pages talking about this. I saw Buys and Tries, who is the best bodybuilder. It's just coming up now, even though it was from a month-old Q&A on Michael Krizo's YouTube channel. So it only got like 13,000 views, so this kind of flew under the radar, but I thought it was interesting. He was asked a question, what do you think about Samson and Neckzilla, which are the two guys that he just competed against? He beat Neckzilla, but Samson beat Krizo at the Prague show. So he just competed against both of them. The question that he was asked was, what does he think of each of them? Now, he compliments Samson, and he says Samson, if Samson really comes in dialed in, he's almost unbeatable, which I think is a huge compliment from a guy like Michael Krizo. So he's impressed by Samson, and he likes him as a bodybuilder. But I think what more people were talking about here was the Neckzilla comment. And the reason why I find this interesting is because if you guys don't know the backstory, Michael Krizo and Neckzilla, Rubiel Mascara, both came from the other IFBB, the IFBB Elite Pro. And they actually both made their pro debut in the IFBB Pro League at the Prague Pro. Krizo just did it the year before Neckzilla did. So they both had very similar career trajectories, but also in that IFBB Elite Pro, they were both kind of two of the biggest, freakiest stars, and they both left and came over here, which I thought was interesting. But I'm curious to see that they have this dynamic, because I thought coming from the other IFBB, they'd have kind of a kinship, having competed in a much really smaller organization at this point. So it was interesting to see Krizo say he doesn't like him as a bodybuilder, he doesn't like his physique, he thinks he's not aesthetic and proportional, he thinks his legs are a little bit too big. And I kind of agree with a lot of what he was saying. Not that I don't like him as a bodybuilder, but he also said that he thinks a lot of it is hype. Actually, I think he said all of it is hype with Neckzilla. And to an extent, I kind of agree with that. Obviously, Rubiel is a freak. He's got a lot of really standout body parts. But overall, even as big and massive and freaky as he is and some of these crazy body parts that he has, Krizo is right that he's not really that aesthetic, or really aesthetic at all. He's not very proportional. His back really doesn't match how good he looks from the front and side. And he's got kind of the same issue that a lot of people seem to have with Big Ramy, especially towards the beginning, saying that Ramy's quads were too big. Now, a lot of people that said that were saying that Ramy's quads kind of dwarfed his calves, and that's not the case for Rubiel. Rubiel's legs are actually pretty complete. His calves are gigantic to match his upper legs as well, so I will give that credit to Rubiel. But I was kind of surprised to see Michael Krizo say that, again, considering the backstory. And these guys are really, right now, the two big guys that are really rising fast in the IFBB Pro League here that are from that other IFBB Elite Pro. They're both recently turned pro. They're both mass monsters. They're both gaining a lot of popularity on the internet. They have a huge fan base here from the internet. And I think it's interesting to see them have kind of a rivalry here. And we don't know when the next time we'll see them go head-to-head. Krizo still has to requalify for the Mr. Olympia, so he didn't win that Prague Pro. Samson did. So Krizo will probably be competing again this year. Rubiel is supposed to be competing at the Arnold Ohio and the Arnold UK. And I still, from my sources, have heard that that's still up in the air as far as Ohio. But it sounds like the UK is more likely. He's not officially out yet of the Arnold Classic Ohio, but I'm still hearing it seems very uncertain as to whether or not he'll be there. But the UK apparently is more likely for him based on travel and visas. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think about the Krizo and Neckzilla rivalry? And which of the two of them do you prefer? Michael Krizo or Rubiel Mosquera? And which one do you think has a better chance at being a higher placer, assuming they both qualify for the Olympia in 2024? Now, next up in the news, the latest physique update from Horse MD Marcelo De Angelis at 5.5 weeks out from the Arnold Classic. Another potential frontrunner, I think, in this lineup with the likes of Rafael Brandao, Samson Dauda, Hadi Chupin. We now know that Andrew Jacked is out. But Horse MD, really impressive at his pro debut. We got to see him compete also with Samson Dauda. And I spoke to him briefly last night, Marcelo, and he said that the top 3 is his goal, and he's working very hard to achieve that goal at the Arnold Classic Ohio. And I certainly think that potential is there. I was very impressed with his pro debut, where he was 3rd place. And that was a pretty stacked lineup, albeit not as stacked as this Arnold Classic, but I really am impressed with the size that he's put on, because keep in mind, when he earned his pro card, he initially was pursuing classic physique, so he was a lot smaller than what we're seeing from him now, because he was really struggling to try to make that weight class. So we never really saw him look as big as he looks now, even when he turned pro as a bodybuilder. So he turned pro in bodybuilding, then chose to pursue classic physique as a pro with that pro card. So if anything, he kind of downsized from where he was in bodybuilding. But even when he turned pro as a bodybuilder, we never saw him look this big, which is what impresses me, especially in this front relaxed. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree he's got really great quads. I think that's where the nickname horse comes from, like horse legs. But he's also very aesthetic. He's got a very small waist, round full cap delts, pretty good size to the upper body. His conditioning was pretty good at his pro debut. He's working with one of the best coaches in the game with Milos, who obviously right now is having tremendous success with Samson. So I'm really excited to see how Marcelo places in this lineup, where he kind of lands. Him and Rafael, I've talked a lot about both of them being from Brazil, and we haven't really seen many updates from Rafael, but I really think that both of these two guys are going to be right in that mix in the conversation for these top spots. And by top spots, I mean top 6 first call-out caliber guys. I really don't see him beating Samson or Hadi just yet. And like I said, now that we know that Andrew Jacked is out, maybe Rubiel is out, that 3rd place spot seems like it kind of could be a little bit of a wild card spot with this lineup. Now, a good segue into the next story. One of the guys that Horse MD actually beat at his pro debut, Nathan Asha, who I believe was 4th in that lineup. But in this update, he weighs 295 pounds at 5 foot 7 inches tall. And it makes me wonder when he's going to compete next, because he does look pretty good here for a guy that's that big, that heavy. And we know that it seems he's unable to get into the States. So obviously he was able to leave the UK. It was only when he arrived at the United States that he was turned away. So whatever the legal issue is, whatever's preventing him from getting into the US, it's not preventing him from leaving the UK. So he might be able to travel still. Well, he's shown that he's able to travel still to some of these other countries from the UK. But from the looks of this, he might not be done competing quite yet. So maybe we see him at one of these international competitions, like the Arnold Classic Brazil, maybe the Arnold Classic UK. Although I think he likely would have already been added to that list if he were going to be doing it. But I am curious what the future is going to hold for Nathan, because as long as the Olympia is held in the States, and the Arnold Classic Ohio, of course, it looks like he's not going to be able to do any of those 2 shows until whatever this issue is that he has gets resolved, because it seemed like he really did think he was going to be able to compete in the Olympia last year and was turned away when he got there. So I don't know if whatever the issue is can be resolved at this point, but I hope it is, because I do believe he's one of the best bodybuilders in the world, and I do believe he would place in the top 10 at the Olympia. And I believe he belongs on that stage. But what we do know is he's a guy that likes to compete. So if he can't do those 2 big shows, we're probably going to see him in a lot of other shows, which is what we saw from him towards the end of 2023. So I hope we do get to see him on stage again soon, and I hope that he's able to come to the States and compete this year in 2024. But if not, the international season is just now beginning, so he's going to have plenty of opportunities between now and the Olympia if he wants to keep competing. But he looks really good here for 295, conditioning-wise. Now, next up in the news, another guy competing in the Arnold Classic Ohio that's going to be challenging for one of those top spots is Justin Rodriguez. Now, Justin in his updates has looked pretty impressive, starting with this video here, which obviously is under very, very impressive goon light. The lighting is definitely doing him some favors here. Goon lighting always helps, but Justin has been looking really impressive. He's been posting multiple updates a day. I like that about Justin. He's very active. He's very engaging. Just update after update after update. He looks really big. Conditioning-wise, though, I just don't see that crazy grainy level of detail, like the fibers in the pecs, that deep separation in the legs, the striations in the shoulders. Like, he looks big, and he looks good in this lighting, but he doesn't look super peeled. So, for example, if you put this update side by side with the latest update from James Hollingshead, which was posted yesterday, I think these guys are probably on a pretty comparable competitive level. So Justin next to James, while Justin looks really full and vascular and pumped, like he probably just did chest and tries or something before he posted this picture, even in that good lighting, which is much better than the lighting that James is in. James is in like ambient outdoor lighting. But if you look at James, you can see in his pecs deep pectoral striations. You can see the striations in his delts while he's hitting this pose. And granted, they're hitting it a different way. James is doing hands on hips, and Justin is doing hands clasped. But then look at James's legs. You can see those deep separations in his quads. You can see the conditioning on James at this point in his prep. With Justin, while he looks round and full and vascular and pumped, you just don't see that same level of detail. And I bet if you put James in that same lighting as Justin, James would look even more cut up. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon to be notified every time I upload. All that stuff is very important. Make sure you do it. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.